You know, it's saying that the Homo sapien is a frugivore, and that's true. We're islanders originally. It's pretty easy when you understand the acid and base. It's pretty easy when you understand the lymphatic system, and that's where a man has gone wrong. He's categorized everything in diseases. That's allopathy. Had a set of symptoms. Doesn't understand the cause of the symptoms, and so he slaps some medical name on it, perhaps the medical doctor himself. And the problem with that, of course, is that there's no understanding of causative factors. What causes these things? So if you understand a little chemistry, but you understand the giant lymphatic system in the human body, your answers are there when you understand the nature of acids and the nature of base. Now, we'll get into that. But I wonder how many of you here, and I've said this at class the last time, and Roseanne was talking about the frugivore and the primate, but how many of you are humans here? Yeah. All right. So what if I said that you're only playing the role as humans? Touch your spirituality. Touch who you really are. And this program helps you to do that because as you remove the obstructions to the flow of consciousness or energy, it quiets your mind. It brings your emotions into balance. You're bringing your endocrine gland system into balance and into a state of wellness. And you start understanding yourself more. And I talk a lot about thinking and thought and get out of that. You're not your thoughts. Matter of fact, you don't know sometimes where your thoughts come from. And you might want to. So I like the spirituality side of this as well, because you start to learn who you are and your experiences start changing drastically. You're only playing the role as a human here. And when you stop wanting to play those roles, you want to understand more who you are and where you came from. Who is this allness that's about? Who is that thing called God? And each of you obviously come out of that same source. It's all one. So to find that out, when you start going on these high energetic programs, these are all states of consciousness. When you're consuming a food, it is a certain state of consciousness coming out of the same realm you do in a way. Everything comes from the mental worlds down into the emotional worlds and down into the physical world. Even when you look at a piece of fruit, it has its mental side to it. It has its emotional side. How many people can talk to trees and plants? Not difficult, is it? And if you're a listener, they might even talk to you back. Right? But if you're so busy thinking, sometimes you can't hear because you're lost with your attention into your thoughts, into your desires. So the neat thing about this level of program, this level of fruit, is that it quiets you down. And as it quiets the mind down, it quiets hyperactivity, all the things that you're working with your children. And as that begins to take place, you begin to step back and observe things more. And as you do that, you see that you are part of this whole thing. Pretty cool stuff. But we are frugivores in the Homo sapien, in the human body. That's obvious. It's hard to argue that. And as Roseanne said, there's only two sides of chemistry. So if you get with the fact that certain foods are alkaline forming, or alkaline ash forming, and certain foods are acid ash forming, it's easy to understand. You're talking about hummus and beans and things like that. They're all acid ash foods. So an acid ash food is a food that has an acid ash to it. So if you dump acids into the blood, what does your blood have to do to fix that? And that's the problem. Your blood is an alkaline entity. And if you constantly dump acid ash foods into it, what does the body have to do? It has to steal electrolytes. The main electrolyte it steals is what? Calcium. So then you see varicose veins, spider veins, petechias, hernias, aneurysm. You see all those things. These aren't diseases. Matter of fact, you would do yourself a tremendous favor if you get rid of the whole concept of diseases. Man-made totally. There's always a cause to every symptom you see, and it's always steeped in chemistry. You live in a world of chemistry. There's no two ways about it. In the physical form, but you remember, don't identify yourself too much with your body and the world and your desires, because that's what ties you to that. And then when you get older and you're ready to, say, leave this planet, you're confused. You don't know where you are, who you are, where you're going. And remember, you got here alone, and you'll be leaving alone, because there's only the one. And you're part of that one. That's why at a certain level we all feel camaraderie, because we're all from the same place in consciousness. So we're playing in the worlds of dreams. You can dream anything you want. Who cares? A dream is worth a dime a dozen. You can play any role you want, like an actor on a stage. Pick any movie you want to play. It's there. But who's the movie watcher? You know, we talk a lot about out-of-body travels, and it is fun, especially when you're cruising through the God worlds. But then who's the traveler? That's what you want to get into, because that's where life really is in consciousness. The role here, you want to get your body as healthy as possible. You get to a certain stage, you can't walk well, you can't think well, then your experience isn't too good. For those in the mental health fields, go right back to chemistry, go back to the endocrine gland system. How many people suffer from depression? So we teach you on the YouTube, we teach you about the endocrine glands, we teach you about the parathyroid glands and what happens when you don't utilize calcium. All of these sort of things. Easy to understand those things if you're taught simplistically. And I like to take the complex and bring it into simplicity, because it's like spirituality. There's all types of books, there's all levels of spirituality, metaphysics, and things like that. But you always go to the source, and you're the source. You're always the source. There's only one doorway to the heavens, and you're it. And how do you get there? There is no there to it. It's always in the present moment. You're always living in the present moment beyond thought. When you start thinking, you're taking yourself out of that present moment into creation. All creation is thought engaged, and that is duality. Two sides to everything in creation. Not so in consciousness. There's only the one. So as you practice this art of beingness, the art of observation, away from thought, you'll pull yourself into the one. And that's where it gets really fun. It gets very powerful. And that's what's going on here. A lot of power is being generated. You see that all around the world here. We've got people all around the world coming together. There's a big reason for that. These are negative times, big time. Look at how many parents are trying to get their children healthy, and child services want to come in and take them away. Why? You can't prove that raw foods are worse than cooked foods. Who could prove that? There's not a true chemist on the planet can tell you that a cooking your food or processing your food makes it better. That's ridiculous. And when you understand chemistry, you know that when you cook or process, you destroy your electrolytes, anything water soluble, and then you bond your proteins and your fats. What is that? See? And then there's no thought, the craze of proteins. I love that one. That's all over the place, right? But that's part of the negative forces. The more protein you consume, the more you wreck your kidneys. And if anything you learn is your kidneys and adrenal glands are at the core of your lymphatic system. They don't get that yet. Yes, the University of West Virginia, they found the lymphatic system in the brain. Kudos. Before that, some lady professor found the glymphatic system in the brain. So that's 2 in the brain. All right, kudos. What about the rest of the body, and how does it get rid of metabolitic waste? And there was this PhD from Rochester that finally said, you can't sleep on your back or stomach. Remember that? Because you can't drain your brain properly. And I'm looking at this, and he's saying, because you can't get rid of debris out of the brain. But then he went further and defined the debris as metabolitic waste. And that's vital to understand. Every cell eats and poops. Every cell in your body. Are you getting rid of the waste? And waste products are always acidic. It's like your car exhaust. It's like factories. Why is all this acid air, where was it coming from? These are byproducts. Byproducts of metabolism, combustion, however you wish to look at it. Then if you have all these acids, like if you're a runner and you're working out, you're creating all this lactic acid, and then you're inhaling more, so you're getting more carbonic and phosphoric acids. So the point is you're creating these, and many people are eating predominantly acid-ash foods. So the bottom line, you're bringing all this acid in a body that needs to be alkaline-rich, electrolyte-rich. When you work out too much, you get what? Dehydration, right? So as you dehydrate, you're looking to rehydrate. Gatorade. What's that pH? What do they say? 2.65. Minnesota School of Dentistry. You know, it's like, damn, that's hotter than Coke. Coke is around 3 pH. So whenever you feel pain in your body, you're feeling about 3 pH. Like if you take a sip of Coke and hold it in your mouth, it's burning you. So most of these acids are around 3 pH. Well, you talked about the lymph nodes. Well, what's in the lymph nodes? Two things. You got bacterium, right? Their job is to take those 3 pHs and bring them up to 6. Because how would you like to pee 3 pH? Nah. That's UTI stuff. That's cystitis. That's like, that hurts, right? So your little friends, the bacterium, they're in there helping us. But if you go allopathy, they're the problem. Too bad. Then you have macrophages. You have those cells that gobble up damaged cells. What if you cannot get damaged cells and metabolitic acids to the lymph nodes? What if the highway of the lymph vessels are full and you can't get that there? That's where you see the tumors, the cysts, the boils, the pimples, the acne, the psoriasis. That's when you see all of the same stuff. It's all from the same side of chemistry. Location, location, location. And if you don't get rid of them, what's the acid side of chemistry? Corrosive. And it'll chew you up and with no mercy whatsoever. That's why your lymphatic system is a lipid-based system, a cholesterol-based system, right? It's just the war between the two sides of chemistry. Same thing in physics. So that's why you're talking about the energetic side of food. There's the consciousness side of food, and it interfaces with your consciousness side. So the mental side of a plant will interact with your mind. The emotional side of a plant will interact with your emotions. Anybody ever read Secret Life of Plants? Any of those? Yeah, that's a cool book, ain't it? I like this lady professor once. She was on the news, and they were going to replace bomb-sniffing dogs in airports. I thought that was pretty cool. She said because they're only about 70 to 80% accurate. Then she said, my plants, she's some PhD, she says, my plants are 100% accurate. My plants can turn different colors depending upon the chemistry they're perceiving. Pretty cool, isn't it? We tend to, as Homo sapiens, to look at things as half dead when life is stuck in every little molecule. Everything has consciousness to it. There's nothing dead. Everything is in a state of flux. Everything is in a state of movement at some degree or another. And you can learn that and learn the simplicity of health and wellness. Yeah, it might take some of you to regenerate genetics, and especially in the young. Look at the child we just put up on YouTube. Cerebral palsy. I mean, this kid never looked at his mother or ever smiled at his mom. Well, 7 years old. Take a look at him now. Doctor said, oh, that raw food's going to kill your boy. Well, he's going to be dead anyway, right? Now he's not. Those are the beauties. Yeah. When you see the kids regenerate their weaknesses. But it's not a mystery because you're consuming foods that are at the same levels that your levels are. And it's just that when you eat foods that are not in harmony with your body, you get that kick from it. And if you're eating acid ash foods, that's what you get, an acid ash. And constantly, again, adding acid on top of acid is like chemotherapy. These guys are crazy. And one day the blowback, remember Karma? Somebody had Karma soaps up there? Yeah. The blowback. You don't want the blowback. And if you're fighting a tumor now, fighting cancer, you want to step on the alkaline side because I guarantee you, if that can't get you, you're going to leave your body anyway. Be prepared for that. It's just a body anyway. You're just using it. It's your car while you're on this lovely planet Earth. Are we on Earth? So far, there's a lot of planets, a lot of places to go. So I always feel that the spirituality of an individual is key. Work on who you are. And the foods will help you, and it'll help get your body back in a state of wellness. Yeah, there's cleansing that goes on. If you've got crap in there, crap's going to come out. Acids don't always feel good. If you have like lupus or Lyme's or any of these labeled conditions, it's all systemic acidosis. And acids will take you down. It'll bring you back into the model position. But how many cases, we've had them where they had Lou Gehrig's or MS or something like that, couldn't talk anymore, couldn't sing. We have singers like that. They get down modeled in wheelchairs. And it's beautiful to see them get up, start talking and singing, and start walking again. There's two sides to life, not one. So where you have degeneration, you have regeneration. Degeneration is always on the acid side of chemistry. That's the final, I'll see you later. They break you down. Bacteria help to finish it up, and you're all the other little bugs of life. And your body's gone. But it's just a body. But if you want to save your body, you want to start eating alkaline ash foods. That's your fruits, your berries, your melons, and your vegetables. If you don't process them, or you don't pick them unripe, some of the fruit, it's a sad state of affairs in our fruit. Sad state. And I had a homeopathic physician in Romania, and she's so sick. I told her, I said, well, you've got Indonesia right there. They got some of the finest fruit on the planet. I said, just go over there for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. She did. She said, all my symptoms went away on Thai fruit. Yeah. There's another component to this, guys, and that is as you get deep into this, you're going to touch energy levels you've never seen before. Yeah. Now you got to deal with that. And I always like the word balance. So there might be a Barbie down the road that you might have to stop at someday to balance out. I'm just saying. You can try to be as pure as you want, but don't over-focus physically because that's going to be your experience. I get it initially, and you should. Dig in. Take it on. Wrestle it like a bear. But you're going to find a point where you're going to have so much energy that it can unbalance you. I couldn't stay in my body, but I was totally doing the fruit for years. I just couldn't stay in. I was out all the time because I was working on that too. Well, that can be problematic, especially for the people around you, because they don't understand you anymore. They don't understand the levels that you see. So if you're working with people as practitioners, you have to stay a little balanced. Fun stuff, though, because you're getting to the core of who you are. And your experience here can be any level you want it to be. But remember, everything you see is all karmatic. And you can work through that karma. You don't have to say, oh, I'm stuck. No. That's what we're here for, is to help you work through your karmas. But you have to work through them yourself. And the biggest thing is, let go. Let go. We have a thing about that. Whatever you see, let go. It doesn't matter. Because you're entering a world where there is no definition. And you will start to feel that. You'll feel more expanded. There's no definition to it. And you have to be able to deal with that. Because the little self of the Robert will no longer exist. The male or female side of life will no longer exist. Because as you move into consciousness, it is not duality anymore. There's no gender to it. It's pure awareness. It's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. It's everywhere. There's no place that it isn't. It's hard to define that in the mind because the mind loves definition. The mind is always trying to get you to define the experience, good or bad or this or that. That's all creation. And you can play in creation as long as you want. Many souls do. You can travel from place to place. There's beautiful, beautiful worlds to travel from the physical side. As you pull back your attention and you get into your astral and your mental bodies, there's neat, neat places to go. But it still is not you. And if you want that ultimate ride, you want to pull yourself back to pure awareness. And like I said, there's no definition to that. So working on your physical body, though, stay strong with that. I've said this is the year of powering up, and baby, it is. Take a look around. Look at people are going nuts. And I didn't say eat them either. People thought I was crazy when I talked about nuts, and, they're more food for man, I guess, maybe. But if you're in pain, you don't do proteins. Take yourself off. If you're in pain, take yourself off of proteins and all these grains and beans and things like this for a couple months, say even 3 weeks or a month, and then go have one. I had a medical doctor come to one of my classes, and he came in kind of hunched over, and I said, hey, doc, what's wrong? He said, my kidney. I've always had kidney problems. And I took a picture of his eyes and said, oh, yeah, bad kidney, bad kidney. So I put him all on fruit. He was there to learn. I put him all on fruit and some herbs. So the second day, pain was almost gone. Third day gone. Fourth day gone. Fifth day, the girls were doing a raw food kitchen. And they did Giuliano's meatloaf, which is nuts and vegetables and stuff like that, So I put him on that. Second bite down. Oh, what's that? And I said, that's protein. And yet these guys consistently give protein diets. It's amazing. I had one medical doctor not too far from here. He always sent his cancer people over to me. But first, he put them on a high-protein diet. And it's like sometimes people are so lost academically and mentally that one experience doesn't compute to another. Because every time he did, their cancer markers soared, and they said, oh, you got to go see Dr. Morse. It's like, why didn't you take care of them? Because these aren't true healers, as a rule. They're treatment-based thinkers. And you want to get out of that thinking of treatment-based thinking. Because what are you treating? You're treating a symptom, depression. Where did depression come from? Parathyroid, lack of calcium utilization. So if you have it as a mother, your baby gets it, then your baby has growing pains and all types of depressive things. You have postpartum depressions. And pretty soon, if you have many babies, you can go nuts. Look at Andrea Yates, drowned 5 of her babies. And if you look at her, she's gaunt and wrinkled up. You can see parathyroid, not utilizing calcium at all. Teeth are gone, things like that. Babies took it. So if you're a mama and you want to have healthy babies, get your body healthy, because you don't want acid milks. And if you're eating an acid ash diet, your milk will become acidic. Don't do that, because then your baby gets colicky, because acids irritate the mucosa. And you get what from it? Mucus. I mean, when you look at amyloid plaque and you're looking at some of these things, all it is mucus, proteins attaching to a cell, and mucus, the body's defense against that. Your body's defense against acids or proteins is always mucus, always a lipid, because the electrolytes burn too quick. That's our problem. So acid state is a highly dehydrated state. I did this one girl, she was only like 18 or something, and I talked to her about dehydration. She says, well, she says, I can gain 5 or 10 pounds just taking a shower. Imagine that. You're trying to lose weight and you gain 5 pounds, you just took a shower. What is that? That's a highly dehydrated state, a state of acidosis. When your rings start to turn on your fingers, that's serious acidosis. You don't want to get there. You want to move your body in a state of alkaline. But all foods are not 100% alkaline. They're balanced. You always need phosphorus. You always need some of the acid principles, no question. But the dominance of chemistry is always base chemistry. And that's vital to understand that. But getting well is just working through all the things that you see, no matter if you're in a wheelchair, you're a quad or para. I mean, how many people have we pulled out of wheelchairs? Quite a bit. The guy that parachute didn't open, he's a good example. He's a great example of that one. Hit the water at, 80 or 90 miles an hour. So you can rebuild yourself in any state. Never let any doctor tell you you're stuck or you're done with. Again, the problem is don't treat your symptoms. Understand how the body works. If you have trauma, what system has to take it away and clean that area? Your lymph, not your blood. You can't dump acids in your blood and compromise pH. What happens if your blood gets acidic? 3 minutes and you're gone. You're out of here. So you can't acidify the blood, so why do we eat acid ash-forming foods? They don't know enough about chemistry to tell you that. They promote the use of that. So which side of life are they on? The negative side. Believe it or not. And so you come to the healers, the true healers, and you're going to see the positive side of life. They're going to reconnect you to the alkaline side, looking at it from chemistry. But there's another component, as you were saying, and it is the physics. It is the electromagnetic energy. Chemistry is just frequencies of electromagnetic energy. So what is energy? Quantum physics, what do we call energy? Intelligence. It's pretty wild. So everything is energy, so freaky. But you can't understand that from a mental plane. The mind works with relationships, separation, comparisons, things like that. You're part of the omnipresence, omnipotent, omniscient of things. That's not duality. That is the one. That is consciousness. And it's hard to define that because there's no definition to it. You can't touch it because you are it already. But we define ourselves as humans or whatever body we're in at that time. And that's how we look at life. Now, pull yourself away from that. You can be a human, because you got a human form right now, it looks like most of you. And you just work with the laws of these things like that. I think question and answers would be good. You want that? Yeah. Let's do some Q&A, because I could talk all day. She says, well, you got an hour and a half. I go, what? Is that all? Yeah. Well, anywhere I can find good fruit, like a scavenger looking for good fruit, grocery stores, markets, wherever we can find them. And after a while, you get used to what's good and what's not good, and you can feel them vibrationally if you're hooked to that. So very difficult. My morning is always fruit. I always have a fruit morning because what do we call breakfast? Breaking the fast from the night before, right? So you always break a fast with fruit. Sorry. You don't want to be a McFadden who broke his fast one time on boiled potatoes and killed him. So you always want to use fruit to break your fast. Whether you're dry fasting or water fasting or just even fruit fasting, you just keep going with that. So then I try to have a salad at lunch. I like to have that for balance, unless I get into the flavor of Indian. I have some of my Barbie problems. Yeah. But I keep it as balanced. I tell you, when I came out of the woods, I had to ground because I was teaching out-of-body travels and how you learn how to get out of your body at will. And so I was so buzzed and my body was cramping. It couldn't handle the energy I was pumping through it. So then I had to ground. Howard Johnson's, I remember that restaurant. And I had to, because if I didn't, my body wouldn't be here right now, So you have to kind of look at balance a little bit. So veggies is a good balance for humans because we're not vegetable eaters. I don't eat salads like lettuce and kale and stuff like that.
Did you ever take drugs or anything? Could that have been coming back into your system when you were detoxing and the food?
Did what come back?
Were you ever taking drugs or anything?
Back in my life? Yeah. A little, not much. I did a little LSD and window pane. Not much. What? I was with Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary was my buddy. But you know what? I realized when I did those things, like shrooms now and are trying to legalize in Colorado, these things, particularly the shrooms and the LSD type, they quiet your mind. And so all the answers start flooding in because when you stop thinking, it's kind of like those paintings you see that's full of dots. And if you look at it, you can't see a damn thing but dots. But if you pull back and you look discreetly, you'll see the image behind that. And that's kind of what it is. You want to observe instead of always think, because your attention is going to be where you put it. And if you put it in your thoughts, that's where you are, is in your thoughts. And pretty soon you don't know who you are anymore because you're chasing your thoughts, images of who you might want to be and things like that. And so if you want true freedom in your world, quit thinking. One master said to me one time, he says, if you quit thinking and quit talking, there's nothing you won't know. I said, I get it. They have acid principles like lemons, very acidic. Depends how you grow them. Of course, I grow my own. But they have an alkaline ash. And that's what's important, is the total ash from the breakdown of that food is electrolyte dominant. And that's what's important. Your acid ash foods are more of your nitrogen foods. The nitrogen side of life is your protein side of life. Am I about out of time?
No, I was going to
Oh. So that's why, of course, the more astringent a fruit is, the more little acidic it tends to be. Like lemons, very astringent. But minor acids are vital to have. Vital in the body, like estrogen. Vital to have minor acids. It's down in the 3 pHs that get you. And those are generally metabolitic wastes and things like that. Do what now? What's fruit?
Are most fruits in the threes, she said.
In the 3s? No. Oh, Lord, no. Not as a breakdown ash. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Not within the body.
Yeah, not in the body. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Can you tell us the type of research you're working on?
Me? Oh, my God. I'm not really working on a lot of it because our whole staff, we're just consuming all this, any science we get. Sometimes you guys are sending us stuff and we're just looking at that and looking at the lymphatic systems and finding confirmation everywhere. So more and more and more you're seeing that, So it's exciting for that part of it. I think the most important thing that we see is more discovery of the lymphatic system, understanding that more. And that's vital because if you don't understand the role of your kidneys and your skin, then you don't know about your lymphatic system. So a lot of massage therapists do lymph drainage, but they do it medically thinking. And medical thinks everything dumps in the subclavian. It's like, no, it's impossible. You cannot dump. The other cool thing is that they found that these lymph vessels piggyback a lot of the vascular system. So is there an osmotic pull of acids out of the vascular system into the lymph system from that? Don't know. There's a lot of neat discoveries to be found in the lymphatic system. We just pointed the direction to the kidneys and the skin as the eliminative organs of that. So it's filtration. I'm sure most of you that have watched our videos get this: kidneys must filter. You pee in a jar and it's clear, you're in trouble. You don't poop in the toilet and run out and only water come out of your sewer pipe. You're wondering, where did my stuff go? Well, that's what's happening. People are peeing clear water. Recently we had a guy, he had prostate cancer, what they call prostate cancer. What would prostate cancer be? What is cancer anyway? It is acidosis, but cancer is nothing but a damaged cell. It is an atypical cell before it gets to that, what pathologists call point of no return. So it's a cell that's damaged. That's all that is. And you can have a bunch of them in you. So for that, you can have a tumor that has no cancer cells in it, cells that are damaged. Or if a tumor's wrapped interstitially around tissue, yeah, you're going to destroy all those cells. So the body will rebuild them. So to insult the body with a stronger acid than the acid that's causing the damage in the first place, because the question is, how does a cell get damaged in your body? I'm a cell in your liver, I'm just hanging out. I have spaces around me, like all of us are sitting in our own chairs, right? And there's spaces flowing around everyone. And as Roseanne said, you got 20% blood and 80% basically lymph. Why would the 80% of interstitial fluid be lymphatic and only 20 be blood? And yet their focus is blood. Well, if you're sitting there with big tumors in you, I can show you perfect blood work. But you still have tumors in you. What's going on? Again, different system, wrong system. You're talking about a whole system unto itself. Anybody see the body's exhibits that go around? Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? The one thing they don't have, they have all the vasculars, right? The arteries and veins, they have all those, but they do not have the lymphatics because they don't understand it. And as one professor said, you can't see these vessels when you're dead. They just like they're so translucent they can't find them. Yeah. Okay. Hang on, she'll get you.
Yeah. So Roseanne knows as well. We ended up with her because of our 6-year-old daughter. And my question is, as far as, she's still developing, she's still growing, and they say as far as calcium and all these bunch of other stuff, and trust me, we hear the negativity all around us.
True.
But we've stuck fairly most because she was so sick. And so my question is, as far as fruits and vegetables, is it the same concept at their age where they're still growing and they're still developing as it is for the adults where,
Well, think about this, the big thing, look at mother's milk. Mother's milk is basically carbon, half of that is lipids, and less than half of that is protein. In other words, so you have about 7%, basically your carbon side, which is your energetic side, your sugars, your simple sugars. Then you've got your lipids, which is vital to the lymphatic system, obviously. So you have a higher content of carbon for energy, things like that. Because you have to go back to the cell. And as the cell's fertilized, it doesn't have any external form of energy. It's all consciousness. It all comes from the cell itself. So this idea that we need all this external energy is interesting to me. But carbon is the number one source of energy. So then you have your lipids for your lymphatic system, and less than 1% is protein. So when you look at that, and then you look at Ensure, Pedisure, and you see all these, and they give it about 20 grams of protein and stuff. All that does is acidify your poor body, put full of mucus and all this sort of thing. So you look at this young man, he had cerebral palsy, he had a number of serious problems. At 7 years old, he looks like a 3-year-old with, a stended abdomen and very small limbs. Take a look at him now, and that's all exclusively on fruit. So fruit is more neurological. If you were really looking at that and said, well, I'm a bodybuilder, I want to build up like Ian and things, you can build up a lot on fruit, let me tell you, because primates. But your vegetables are more muscular. Your fruit is more neural, big time. Brain and nervous system, big time. You can't. I've had MS cases. I couldn't regenerate squat with vegetables. Put them on fruit and they get walking again, moving again. Put them on vegetables too soon. Now, what about brain lesions and things like that? All these things that you see, no matter what you're diagnosed with, is all from acidosis, all from acids stuck in tissue that can't get out. Well, why can't acids get out of the body? How about kidneys? A lack of kidney filtration. So think about this. If you're a mother and you're not filtering your metabolitic waste out of the body, neither is your baby. That's scary, and that's what's going on. We showed you that 9-month-old had cancer in the eye. They wanted to take her eye out. We had it gone, what, in 2 months or 3 months?
Are these all on YouTube?
Yeah.
So everything, all your stuff is on YouTube?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My videos are.
Doc.
But it just shows the beauty of regeneration, and you never want to get away from that. But talking about this lady and acids, if you're consuming an orange, a navel orange, and it tastes acidic, badly raised, when you get into organic fruit, it should be sweet as honey. When you eat something as astringent like a lemon, it shouldn't be overly astringent. You get lemon that's unripe, and it's pretty acidic that way. I'd say if they're that acidic, no. Look for your Myers lemons that have been grown nice and they don't have near that kick, that acid kick to them.
What about like grapefruit?
Grapefruit is fine, as long as it's raised properly, you will get a little of that astringent. The more astringent a fruit is, the more acidic it tastes. But you need that astringent because we're doing two things when we detoxify, right? We're hydrating and astringing. We're trying to pull, we're trying to hydrate. Why? Because in an acidic medium, things become cationic. Things become agglomerated. In other words, it starts tearing things apart, but then starts bonding everything. You see that in your cooked foods and things. Everything is bonded. All your electrolytes are destroyed. So that's serious. So to get rid of that agglomerated, highly acidic area, highly corrosive area, there's only one other side of chemistry to go to. And that's your electrolyte-rich side.
Is it okay to mix fruits?
You can mix fruits? Yeah, I do. Yeah, you know what? It depends how sensitive you get. I'll put it that way. Some of you bros that are getting very out there, the more mono diet is a lot better. It's more simpler. I saw a orangutan once, a female orangutan. She did pick 2 fruits from different trees and set them down and sat there and ate them. As a rule, most animals are mono eaters. And if you think about it, it's more simplistic on the digestive tract, energetically. Because if you start getting too many combinations, it messes with the mind and everything. Papaya? Excellent.
Doc, we have a question.
What is your best advice to talk to the kiddies about how not to have the food that their peers are eating?
Well, you know what? I had a lady write 4 little books, and I had her put it together in one. And then another lady called Eating Like Monkeys, and then there's another. There's some good children's books out there like that. And the comparisons we draw are important. Because I put them years ago, people gave me flack over this, bringing this out, and that's why I put those charts up on YouTube, because look at your teeth, look at, we don't grind like herbivores. Look at the carnivores. They don't even chew their food. Watch your dogs. They eat a piece of meat, what do? Swallow it. There's no digestion of protein in your mouth at all. If you eat nuts and you don't brush your teeth, wake up in the morning, you'll have nuts in your teeth because there's no digestion of protein in your mouth. It's about the same digestive enzymes as your pancreas. So it's a little crazy, but when you understand that, because primates are some of the strongest animals on the planet. A gorilla can rip a lion apart in the mood, and yet they're loving and peaceful, unless you give them proteins and stuff, and you can turn a primate into a very angry, ruthless animal. Yep.
Is there a YouTube video on what started you on your path, your journey? You were young.
Yeah. There's one coming out, though. You should like this one. There's one coming out with Kyle. He's one of the classmates. And we tear up the spiritual side of this, and I get into things like that, But, I went and lived out in the woods as a fruitarian. I ate oranges for 6 months, and some of you guys have bypassed me by far. Some of these guys are 2 years, 3 years mono eating. But I tell you, it takes you out there, and you got to remember grounding. I lost all my friends. Yeah. But I'll tell you this for the older people here, too. When you get older, you don't want to do proteins because the one thing that kills us all is kidney failure. That all leads to congestive heart failure, pulmonary edema, too gray a hair, all those sort of things.
Doc,
So-
we,
yeah.
sorry, we said we got time for 2 more
Oh,
questions.
okay. She was here too.
I would just like to know your. I've watched several 100 hours of you on.
I don't know how
YouTube.
you do it.
I would sit out here for 4 hours in 80-degree weather and listen to you.
Oh my God.
I wanted to know what your opinion about the stem cell.
Not much.
Yeah.
I hired a stem cell researcher once for a short period of time, and I said, why'd you leave? She said, nothing going on. So if you look at stem cell, and they do this also with leukemias and things like this, but regenerate the cells you have. Regenerate the cells you have. You know, that's all I can tell you. You know, man treats, and that's what he always does. He seeks different treatment things, and I'll tell you, 99% of the time it doesn't work. And by that, you've lost a lot of time when you can get your lymphatic system filtering and pull these tumors out and things like that.
And that's the other thing I want to know about. When you've already, like, I'm 53, so my mom has chronic kidney disease, and I try to get her to eat the mama fruiting and stuff. And
It's difficult.
she says, but I need my bread, you know. So
Yeah. Well, that's
I'm
full of
worried about
fungus.
my own kidneys, and how
Well,
do
I would be.
How do you get, just by eating fruit, I can get,
Well,
sometimes they work, sometimes they're not filtering.
Well,
so-
we found that dry fasting helps to filter, you know, that sort of thing. But also remember your adrenals, because that's what you're fighting. And the adrenals on top, there's your sugar metabolism, mineral utilization. I mean, metabolism comes out of the adrenal glands. And then you've got, you got your neurotransmitters. So a lot comes out of that. And then, of course, they control the kidneys. So you're fighting that as well. So you want to go after those adrenals and kidneys. Herbs and fruit.
We'll
Well,
take
why
one more
herbs? You know, why botanicals? They're tissue specific. What else? You know, what's interesting is we have an FDA just totally out of control, totally corrupt. They just allowed another opioid, which you know that's a big deal, right? That is 10 times more potent than fentanyl, which a little bit will kill you, and 1,000 more times than morphine. And they just approved it against the advice of a lot of the doctors, the allopaths that work for them. So you're working with a very corrupt society and world. The children's services, they don't even know what the hell's up. So when you put your kids on raw foods, they go freaking out. It's like, because they will get a little skinny when you're detoxifying them and things like this. But that's why we're trying to get too many testimonials pulls the FDA after you. The FDA doesn't like testimonials because they're corrupt as heck. So that's why you see limited amount. But that's why we have Facebook sites and people tell your story. We don't care. Tell all you want. Yo, man.
No, I'm just testimony. I'm a little nervous right now, but I know. All right, just everything that you're saying is right. They took out my gallbladder, took out my appendix, took out everything. I had high blood pressure, diabetes, everything.
Yeah.
I'm 56 years old. I started doing exactly what you're saying. I healed myself of everything.
Yo, baby. Woo!
I'm a raw vegan.
All right, baby. And you don't look like the worse for wear. Now, put a little hair on the head and we'll be okay.
Doc, we're going to take one more.
Okay.
Dr. Morse, are you still taking new patients?
I'm not. Our clinic is. I don't see anybody anymore. I'm too busy.
What am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, you got her right here. You got a ton of Roseanne. Yeah. That's why we train each and every one of us. That's why I have my school to teach everyone. Anybody can learn how simple this is. You know, sometimes simplicity shocks the mind. The academic mind cannot handle simplicity. Oh, it's got to be but. If more you but, the further away from truth you get. You know, truth is simple. Keep it simple.
One last one.
Just one example. I just want to say one thing. I'm from Canada, but I was same disease like Rosanna, and she cured me, and thank God I'm now healthy, and I'm still in touch with them and with her and with her.
Keep working it. Have fun. Make it fun. Don't make it challenge. Don't fight your mind over this. If you do, it's hard. Make it fun. Understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and go have fun with it.
Okay, first of all, you're a rock star without a guitar.
Yo, man. Wait a minute, I got a guitar.
And second of all, maybe you can help. We got a little family feud going here. And, we've tried some grapes and eat a lot of grapes, but she keeps trying to water. She can drown me, can't she?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One of the problems with this, seriously, is that it's like the lady that put on 5 to 10 pounds taking a shower. Now, it's out there. Drink a ton of water. Drink so many liters a day. The problem with that in an average Homo sapien is they're highly acidic. So the edema will set in heavily. And if it settles around the heart, many people have congestive heart failure from that, pulmonary edema. And this even goes with fruit juices, too. If you're sitting there with too much cancer or lung cancer, you don't want to do juices. Because your body is going to try to hydrate, and water is the universal solvent. So it osmotically will pull into these high, dense, acidic areas and swell them up. And it's like you want to be careful when it's in vital areas like the heart and things like this. So balance. Balance is always key. Fruit has full of water, but it's energized electrolyte water. So that's a big difference there. Yeah. No, but, it's just, I know what, you still need water, but be careful the type you drink, and you just work with that. Yeah.
He's going to fire me if I don't let him take.
Yeah. So what does cooking your food do? Takes the water out. Yeah, dehydrates the food.
What kind of water should you drink?
Well, I like a good mountain water, baby. A good energized mountain water. I have an RO, but, a good energized mountain water. Matter of fact, someone's from Italy here, right? They got some damn good water in Italy, baby. Woo! Yeah, raw fruit full of delicious, energized water. You want energy, you got to eat it. The law of physics, right?
I got a very important question. What the doctor defines as chronic disease or chronics, and they always scare you. You have a chronic condition.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one of them. I'm pretty much cured, and thanks to Dr. Roseanne, I'm still on a treatment. I'm not afraid of what the doctor says, because they can say it's statements, But I want to know, as far as definition for chronic, is that something? What is this?
Here's the thing. You want to be careful about them, like you said, categorizing you into one level or another. When they don't understand something, then you rule by fear. And so you rule by autoimmune bull crap, stuff like that, because you don't know what the hell the problem is, but that's a safe place for me to hide. You want to know what causes everything. Well, you only have two sides of chemistry. You only have two fluid-based systems in the body, and everybody else is a cell. Every cell in your body is genetic. Every cell is genetic, whether it's strong or whether it's weak. You can fix that. You can change the consciousness of that cell. That's not difficult. But the fluid-based systems is what blows back on the cell. If you just look how simple the body is. In other words, if you're a cell in the liver, how am I damaging you? It has to come through those spaces around the cell or trauma. So what's in those spaces around the cell? That's the medical doctors, if you haven't read the latest research, it's a medical doctor's new organ of the human body, the largest organ in the human body ever found. And they've dubbed it the interstitium. What the hell? We've studied interstitial spaces forever. It's just that sort of stupidity, guys. And you have to be prepared for that. Because you have to learn how simple the body's put together. Step back. It's like when you look too much in academics, you're tearing things apart. You're looking at nano, where they're not quite there yet, but the subnano, there's subnano, and there's even sub-subnanos. So you're in levels that no one could even imagine. How can the mind wrap around it? It can't. It can't wrap around truth because the mind isn't based in truth. It's based in creation. And creation is only your movie. So just keep pulling back to truth. Don't let anybody put a stamp on you. Chronic means you're just more involved. You have acute, subacute, and chronic. Chronic takes you a little while to back away from that. Chronic is just simply a high acidotic condition of the body where cells are being damaged. Whether you have brain lesions, this autonomic is down, your myelin sheaths are down. So rebuild yourself back from that. And it takes the same doorway to go chronic as it does acute. Same thing. So don't worry about what they say, just go after that. Go after the health of the cells of your body, because it's just a body made of cells and two fluids. It isn't you. Don't pull yourself into your problems. You're the source of that by your direction of your consciousness. Pull yourself away from that. Quantum physics, baby.
Guys.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. Woo, 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 woo.